intro in advance.
You did.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Professor Kelsey Book Club for Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I'm very excited to know everyone's thoughts. Justin, where is your
Why don't you
copy?
have it?
Yeah,
I didn't buy it physically.
Oh, you didn't?
it's better that way.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I rented it from the library.
Oh, okay.
Okay, excusez-nous.
Look at you.
Wow.
On my Kindle. It's like the greatest thing ever.
It is great.
Libby?
Yeah, Libby.
Yeah, Libby.
Oh, best app.
It's awesome.
I love it for audiobooks.
Yeah,
I-
it's great for
the-
audiobooks. Yeah.
What I'm doing now is I'm buying the books that I want on my shelf, but since I don't want to ruin the spines, I just read them on Libby. Because
Yeah, I do that too. Though.
That's fair. Yeah,
I
that's
do
a good
that
idea.
too.
Yeah.
although the Mistborn books there's always a wait.
Yeah. Yeah, the really popular stuff it's tough to get. So, yeah. But
I'm not
I,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Bobby.
I
No, you
go all over the place. Like I'm like I have the physical book with the book club books mostly. This is what I have. I have the physical book and I get the audio book from Libby and I try to get the digital version from Libby as well.
As you should.
So no matter what vibe I'm feeling, I can do whatever I want. Like
I still have not listened to a word of an audiobook since we started this. It's just not my way.
Justin, every day you come on here with these controversial takes, and I can't take them.
the weirdest thing is he comes on here every day, even though
Every
we're not
day.
here.
We're not here.
We're not here. But he just jumps in, and it's
I'm like, Kelsey, I know you're watching. Let me in.
Yeah.
I hear it. I'm haunted.
Get me off backstage.
We when the beginning we were just talking about the beginning of the pandemic, but at the beginning of the pandemic we were using this program to like log into our computers at work, but you were able also to log into other people's computers because we weren't like sure how it could work. So once we were playing D&D and my computer like the screen went off and went on again and my mouse moved and I was like I didn't think anything of it because obviously like I'm not really good with technology.
No.
So I was just like I was like that was
Don't say-
strange,
don't
whatever.
say that.
And then one of my friends was like, "Can you log off the program because you can,
At least you weren't like
we
looking
can
at
open the computer?"
bad websites.
Mhm.
No, thank God I was only playing D&D, but
Yeah. They're like, this is worse. What are you doing?
yeah, they're like, "You nerd."
I knew she was a fucking nerd.
Kelsey's persona is fake. Speaking of nerds, let's talk about books.
Yeah.
What a transition that was.
It's a great transition.
Who wants to give the
Not the-
recap?
Not me. Not this time.
Okay,
I can
Bobby,
do
this
it.
this is a recap for you to do
I'm
because
back in my element, given the recaps.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember anything. I opened up a Reddit thing just
Great.
in case you guys were like, "You do it this time," so I had it open.
Great.
Shit, we never
So-
even thought about that. Never even made Kelsey do it.
No,
That would
it's
be
n-
even
yeah,
more
but
entertaining.
No,
Yeah.
it's not for me.
So, The Rage of Dragons is a fantasy book set in obviously a fictional world where essentially a civilization of people running away from some enemy has come to this new peninsula, which is inhabited by a native people, and by force takes it over, and we are then thrown hundreds of years into the future, where we are now seeing this civilization sort of embedded in this new place and dealing with basically their caste system. They have a very rigid caste system. They have nobles and they have lowers, and never the twain shall cross. You can't really rise up. And we follow one character named Tao, who is a high common, and he eventually his father is killed, and he goes on a revenge journey, killed by a noble, and he goes on a revenge quest to try and kill the people who were responsible for the death of his father. And he makes his way through the military and tries to press up a way towards getting access to these people it's very hard to get access to. And that's really the story of the book. There's a lot of things that go on around it, obviously, but that is the main sort of thrust of what the book is about.
That was so good, actually. Wow, you really like. I was like, "Oh yeah, that is what it's about."
It is what it's about. Do you want to know why I was so good at giving this explanation, Kelsey? Because
Did you look up videos about the
No.
explanation of the plot? Because I did.
No, because I fucking loved this book. Loved it. Loved it.
Are you already reading the second book?
I'm already 250 pages into the second book.
You guys, I'm so proud of both of you. Because I know Justin also bought the second book.
He
Or
finished the second book
oh,
already.
Second
okay.
book's done.
Yeah.
Look at you being an overachiever. Extra points. Cool. So what were your ratings?
I gave this book 4.5 stars.
I would also give it 4.5 stars.
Well, I gave it 2.
Bobby and I have been communicating on the side because I might, like, you could obviously see me reading the other book on Goodreads. So obviously I must have enjoyed it, but Bobby is like, I'm not going to say a word, and we're going to tag, we're going to tag team her when we get on this thing.
Yeah. You guys, I'm actually so happy because I really thought we were going to come in here and it was just going to be a boring conversation. So I'm very, very excited. Okay, let's move into what you guys enjoyed. I don't even know what to say. Because you guys don't let me write my reviews now. I have no memory
of this is the best way to do it.
There are ways you could document your thoughts, Kelsey, not on Goodreads. You could put it in a note and then share those thoughts afterwards.
The only thing that stopped this book,
I can add my rating now at least.
Yeah.
Go on.
The only thing that stopped this book for me from being 5 stars is I think the opening is especially bad. And
I think the opening's horrible.
The opening,
not the prologue. I think the prologue's actually very fun. The first chapter.
See, that's where I felt it was bad. Like
that's what she's saying, though.
Yeah, no, but she thought the prologue was fun, and I'm talking about the first 30 or 40 pages. I felt were catastrophically
but like
confusing.
aside from the first 10 pages, that's what I'm saying. Like the
prologue's only like 10 or
personally 10 I think the whole book was boring, but the first third, the first 2/3 the first 3 out of 3/3 was so boring to me. But continue. I like the prologue. I like the first 10%.
Bobby and I have been talking about this, and
I know I can't believe you guys have been communicating without me.
Fantasy books for me, and I think in general, are a little bit harder to jump into because you're not jumping into a known space. You know, with sci-fi and fiction and stuff like that, you're jumping into like a world, but the rule set in that world is pretty, laid in stone. This is you're immediately thrust into a battle, and you're like, who is who? What is happening? There's just a lot of that in this book. In the first, I'll say like
there's a battle every 5 pages.
See, but as I read it, it took me about 100 pages, and then once we jump into the future, an unknown he uses a I forget what the word that cycle
span. This is a common fantasy thing which we'll talk about, which I definitely want to talk about.
I didn't know if we were talking about this is 126 months later, 126 days later, 126 years later, whatever the time frame was. Once we meet the main character, and there's the battle going on there in his first battle, and then I think right as his father dies and he goes into the city to start his gladiator quests, because this book, I think on the back of the book it says, is a cross between like Game of Thrones and Gladiator, which I thought was a pretty apt description after a certain point.
Yeah.
At first I read that and I was just like, okay, like we're just throwing words at the wall to see what sticks. But it did feel that way after a while. Once he gets into the city, I was completely enamored with the book. I was enamored with the plot. I was enamored with some of the interesting ways that Winter throws curveballs at you with chapters and who's narrating these chapters out of nowhere. And I think the hook of how our main character becomes literally the greatest fighter in the world was wildly interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what Justin is saying here. I do think I agree with Kelsey too. I liked the prologue. I was like, okay, like I don't understand everything that's going on, but the way in which they've like entered me into this world, I'm okay with it. Like I'm getting at least like some of the concepts, right? And then when it transitions to the main time setting of the book, for me, like just for like the first probably 100 pages or so, whatever leading up to the fact where he gets to that place where his father gets killed, essentially, everything leading up to there, I was very sort of, I was negative to neutral on for the for the most part. I think it falls into the same traps that a lot of fantasy books fall into, where this guy obviously spent a long time coming up with the lore and the politics and everything. Nothing else you could say. He definitely has all the things figured out. And this trap that a lot of fantasy writers fall into is, well, I find all this super interesting because it's been my life for 5 years. Obviously, anyone reading this book is also going to find it super interesting right away. And that's almost always not the case. It's always like, just give me the people first, and then you can start layering in the stuff.
Definitely.
So I just found like, I was like, okay, like I don't even like that first battle in the city, in like his town or whatever. I was not really into. I was like, I don't know this person. I don't get anything that's going on. Like, I don't care at this point.
I know, I was really rooting for you. You told me you thought it was okay in the beginning.
I did, but then when I hit page
I
100,
really thought you were gonna be my homie in this.
but when I hit page 100, once the like simplified, like, this is a revenge story. He has you have the clear stakes of what he wants to do. There are like 4 people he wants to kill, and he has the way he's gonna make his way to kill them, and he's got his path to do it, right? Once we were on that track, I just increasingly became more and more in. There was a point where I was like, oh, I'm starting to like think this is pretty okay. And then there was a point where I was like, I think I kind of like this.
He texted me and said his almost exact words. I might paraphrase them, but we're like, he's like, something about like, my dirty secret is I think this book is fucking amazing.
No, guys, listen. Okay, I feel like I need to talk about my journey with this book.
I want you to talk about it, but I'm just saying, like, and by the end, like, I was like, I finished the book, and then the first time I had time to myself, I went to Barnes & Noble and bought the second book and started reading it, essentially. Like that.
So when you went to the Barnes & Noble and you took pictures of your little escapades, did you exclude this photo? I feel like you did. Or was it another time you went?
No, it was another time. I sent you the one where I bought nestlings or whatever. Yeah. No, this was another time where I went and I was like, I need to get this book right now. And so I went there and got it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was by the end. I was all in. I loved it by the end, because I think of the simplicity that he hits at a certain point. Yeah, I really took to the narrative.
At a certain point, the book becomes just straight plot, and that's like a weird thing to say with a book, because like, yeah, of course it's about the plot, but the plot is, like, as Bobby said, it's so crystallized, and you're.
No, I think that's why I hated it.
This book was too clear. The objectives were too clean.
No.
This book didn't have 47 different hidden meetings.
This book has some hidden meetings. I mean,
no, it definitely does. It definitely does.
I wouldn't say they're hidden, but there's definitely stuff that he's trying to say using this fantasy. I
didn't know that the writer of this book was African American.
Okay.
And then I obviously understood, like, Justin, I picked up on the hidden subtext of this plot, which is not hidden at all.
Yeah, no.
But then when I saw, like, is this an actual term? Because I saw people use it, like Afro fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like when I understood that, I was like, oh, I see what we're going. I see what we're going with here. But no, like the racial subtexts and tones of this book are laid out bare.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Kelsey, teacher. Teach.
Hang on, wait. Can we before Teach gets into it? Can we just lay out one thing?
What?
We can lay out one thing.
What?
So I was not looking forward to reading this book, and I don't think you were either, because Professor Kelsey.
Okay, first of all, it's not my fault you guys take so long.
Messaged us and said, "We want to remember what the book is about, Professor, which you struggle with." Said, "Would you guys care if I don't finish the book?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
because
which to Bobby, in all his credit, says, "We don't care if you don't want to finish the book, but you have to pick a different book."
Yeah, and I was
said,
like,
"Why? Why would I pick a different book? This is the book. I just don't want to finish it." And
I
Bobby
feel like
goes,
my feelings
"I'm
stand the
not.
same if I would
I'm
have
not
not finished
finishing.
it or if I did.
I'm not finishing this book and
Mhm.
having a conversation about it if you're not going to finish it."
Yeah, but look, both of you enjoyed it, which is what I expected to happen, which is why I didn't want to torture myself any further. And you made me torture myself by finishing it.
You picked the
I
book,
picked,
Kelsey.
okay,
You picked
this
it.
is why I want to explain my journey.
Also, you read all of Ordinary Monsters, okay? So
Yeah, that was actually, arguably, I think that was worse.
it was definitely worse. Go ahead.
My journey with this book is that it is literally all the rage in the sci-fi fantasy community. People love this book a lot, so obviously I picked it up because I was like, well, I would also like to know what everybody likes about this book, and I bought this probably when it was published, republished. Sorry, because it was originally published independently. So I probably bought this in like 2020 or 2021 around, and it was on my like 21 books I have to read that year or whatever it was that I was doing, and it was part of the fiction category because I knew that I really wanted to read this. It was all the rage, people were loving it. I was like, I would like to be a part of this. I picked it up. I got to, and I distinctly remember this, page like 40 something, like the end of the 30s to the early 40s, and I was just like, this is not my time right now with this book. Now, give me credit because normally when I decide not to finish a book, I'm like, this is trash, and I never look at it again. And I put it in my unhaul pile, which is just gathering dust over here. You don't see it yet because it's not this tall, but it's down here.
Okay.
And usually I leave it there and I never think about it again. However, I was like, this is going to be something for me. Then I'm reading this book. I'm like, la di da. I get past the prologue. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this. Ha 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 ha. And then I'm like looking up at the pages as I'm reading, and I'm like, oh, this is around the time that I didn't enjoy it last time. And I was getting a little nervous. But I did enjoy the whole beginning part. I was like, I'm going to believe in Tao. I want to believe in this story. So I was here for him. I was here. Then his dad dies, and then he joins that like little group, his first group that I learned they go through the whole book together. You don't know
Unless you read the book.
so many people are named all the time that you don't care about, and they die. And I was just like, every 30 pages there was a fight, and I was like, oh, this is the big war. No, it wasn't. It was just a little battle. Just a little battle to spice things up. I'm like, what's happening? And I didn't understand.
I have a question. Legitimate question. Have you ever watched Gladiator?
No.
I mean, that's not prerequisite for enjoying.
Yeah,
no,
also,
it's not prerequisite.
book.
But when the book says like Gladiator meets whatever
So I'm-
fantasy Game of
So I'm
Thrones,
supposed
or
to
whatever.
do homework before I read books so that I would enjoy them?
I just like when it makes a lot of sense though, because Gladiator isn't just like a movie about like the final fight. Like it shows Maximus Decimus Meridius fighting multiple battles and like growing in prowess across all those battles.
That's a worse version of what we're talking about.
Although it did.
I watched Troy with Brad Pitt. That was a good version.
You know what? I liked Troy. I won't
not a very good
deny
movie.
that.
It's fine.
I was high when I watched
It's
Troy.
fine. That's a beautiful way to watch.
You
think
know
it was
what?
like-
I
I
would
was like
also
50.
like to watch Troy while fucking high.
I was probably like 15.
Eric Bana is fighting Brad Pitt, slicing his ankle up.
Oh no, this is not the movie I'm thinking of. 2004, it definitely wasn't high.
I mean, you could have watched it after 2004. They don't delete
Yeah,
the
that's
movie
true.
from the from the world.
I feel like
after
I
they
was
come out.
I feel like I was high because I remember being like, Brad Pitt, what's
Yeah.
going on there?
He's in very
Why
good
is he
shape in
wearing that
movie.
weird wig?
No, I didn't think that far.
So
So yeah, so I think in total, like basically, I didn't care about Tao's revenge plot, because I think I also didn't care about like his I guess relationships in the beginning because they don't really build up anything. Like it is built up, but it's not built up for that long. Like I think for a first book in a series, maybe it would have felt better to me if we spent more time with the father, and then like maybe midway through the book, this would have happened. Um, just because I didn't feel like Tao, for the amount of pages that this book was, like really grew at all. And I have other thoughts, but that's my main like point. Like I just hated all the battles, and I just didn't care about the plot.
Well, I mean, then I guess that it makes sense why you didn't like the book, because
Like,
the book is like all
yeah, I was
battles and
so
stuff.
annoyed when it was another battle. I was like,
I mean, they were all
not
pretty
another
small battles.
important battle. Yeah, but they're not important. What is this
They
a video
are
game?
important,
I'm not
though.
playing. Like, what is this? It's the
They
levels.
are important, though.
No, they weren't.
Let me ask you a question, Kelsey. If you swapped battles for making the segs, would then that have made the book enjoyable for you?
No.
Okay.
Because that comes in the second book.
Ugh. I also had a problem with Tao. I also had a problem with we could get to it. We'll get to it. You
Okay.
guys talk about what you like.
I mean, pretty much all the stuff you didn't like,
I loved.
I loved.
I loved the battles. Like
and I'm
it
wondering
felt
if
like
this is like a, like, not to be like reductive, like a boy girl thing, like you know. But I mean like base, like, you know, stuff that like a 12-year-old boy would like.
Battles.
You know what I mean? Like, I just like it when they fight with the swords. Like, I think that is like part of the sort of DNA of this book, right? It is very much like, you interested in seeing this guy become real good at fighting with swords? And I am like, yes, I am.
I am there for
I think
that.
that's more what it is. I think you have to care about the fact
that
that he's becoming like a better fighter, and I was just like, okay,
The
get back to Zuri, get back to the magician. Let's go.
Exactly. That's what I'm. So I think I was correct.
Let's get back to the girlies.
The moment where he starts fighting with the second sword for the first time, and he like catches the other sword kind of by accident, I literally out loud, Kelsey, went, "Fuck yeah!"
Oh my god. I literally did this. Literally rolled my eyes. I was so like,
this man
done.
literally goes into hell to learn how to be a better fighter.
So that was the part for me where I really started grabbing a hold of the book by both hands and being like, okay, this is different. Like, our main character is choosing to die. Go, like, in this world, you can access the spirit world, where your body stays where it is, but you will go to another realm of existence and you will fight demons, and you will die because there's really no winning, because they can all regenerate. And the thing that I really liked about what Winter did was
like you guys like that?
Yeah, that's different. That's like a different type of thing. Like, you don't really like, and he makes it known, like, and he never lets you forget that every time they go there, or he goes there, excuse me, he dies in some of the most brutal ways possible. But he's so committed to his task of getting revenge and becoming better that he puts himself through it. And like, I found that to be fascinating. Like, it's like, it's not like I just practiced a lot. He's like, no, I just died over and over and over in excruciating ways so I could achieve my goals.
You know what? This makes a lot of sense, because it's like, even when I play video games, I hate like when I have to grind. I'm like, why are you making me work?
It was kind of like a Dark Souls situation.
Yeah, I'm like, why do I have to remember where things are?
There's a point in this book where Tao meets the first person that's on his kill list.
You can spoil it.
Kellen.
Okay.
So he meets Kellen. Yeah, he meets Kellen, and the first time he meets Kellen out like in a market, Kellen just wipes the floor with him and chooses not to kill him. But when Tao starts, not to be reductive in using video game terms, but literally starts leveling up. What I really liked about it was that all of the higher nobility were just like, just somebody just ends this fucking nuisance. And in that chapter, you switch to Kellen's point of view, where he's like, I am just going to maim this guy. I'm not going to kill him, but I'm going to just win this fight. And then he's not winning the fight at all. And it like that little change of perspective, I felt added so much to that moment where it's not just Tao thinking, all right, I'm going to get him. It's getting the other character's point of view where it's just like, why the fuck am I not winning this fight?
Yeah, they did that a lot more in the second book. There's a lot of switching perspectives in the second book.
Oh, thank God I'm not reading that.
Um,
Is it like within chapters?
yeah.
hate that.
Well, no, I mean because the book is divided into like those global chapters, like chapter 1.
Oh, okay.
But it
It's
has,
like different
sub-chapters.
perspective chapters.
Yeah, but it
Okay,
has
that's
like
fine. Yeah.
the different like sub chapters. It will switch sometimes.
Yeah, the way I see it, like the division is like they're parts and then they're split into chapters, or they're chapters
but
and
yeah,
they're
it's like
split into parts, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Difficult though. I'll say this: we're speaking highly before. I don't know if that was on live or not live of Libby, but the audiobook, the way this book was structured, made it very difficult for me to like match up where I was reading, because in Libby it only has like the global chapters on the audiobook. So like chapter 1, chapter 2, which is like could be like 100 pages in between those things.
Even I was listening to it on Libro FN, which is like a indie version of like Audible, let's say. And it was horrendous. It would be like chapter 48 and I'd be like, what the fuck chapter is that? And then it was like really chapter 5. I was like, okay. Like,
I mean,
it was
I would
divided into the parts.
I would prefer the way they did with mine, because at least you could the number of chapters. I will say the narrator of the audiobook is Prentice Onayami.
Fantastic.
Oh my God, amazing.
That I could honestly say.
Amazing.
He made me finish this book. Like, if it was not for that man and I.
He's so good.
He was really, really good. He actually made me feel like I was listening to the main character. That's something that I would like commemorate the audiobook narrator for this, because I think if I would have read this physically, I would have thrown it at a wall. Because he actually made me like, okay, it makes sense that Tao would be upset. Like, especially in the beginning, I was like, yeah, if I was Tao, I would also be angry. Like, duh.
I mean, his dad dies, so yeah.
But not just that,
he gets murdered.
He gets murdered, but also like his girlfriend's bestie gets murdered also.
Yes.
After experiencing probably the worst tragedy a woman can experience. So it's like there's a conglomerate of things that like make sense to me. And even when he was like, when he was running through the crowd and they're like, oh, he's there, let's go get him. That was fun. That was thrilling to me. And I think that is in part with the narration of the book. But I think the battle sequences, like I would not have been able to get through those all by myself. I barely understood them when they were being told to me. I don't think I would have understood them when I was like skim reading myself by accident. But I did also find Tao to be selfish. Like, I don't find he really cared about anyone else in the book, but I do see that is also the point.
Yeah, that's the point.
So I think if you like Tao and if you believe in Tao's like revenge plot, then you would like the book.
Yeah, but
I think I just didn't like Tao.
But by the end, though, that changes. Like, there's a moment at the end where he has the choice of going after the main sort of perpetrator of his father's death, or trying to save the people that he cares about, and he chooses to save the people he cares about.
Okay, good for him.
I mean, that's the truth, though.
That's what we call growth.
That's a character arc, Kelsey.
I think I just didn't like him.
I understand.
I also hated his relationship with Zuri. I have a lot to say about, like, first of all, lack of dragons. Where are they? Rage of Dragons, who? They appeared 2 times.
Oh, please, give me a break. Who gives a shit about dragons, Kelsey?
Me. I went into this book wanting dragons.
Okay, well, the dragon is
One time
for probably one of the biggest deaths in this book.
Hello, Mark. Welcome to
Mark.
the fighting.
And
there were no dragons.
They're in there at least 3 times, by the way.
3 out of 600 pages.
That's fine. What are the dragons aren't characters, Kelsey?
They're on the title.
Yeah.
They're there.
I know.
Where are
No,
they?
I will say this.
At a certain point, I didn't think they were real. I was like, are they even real or are they just a euphemism for Tao? I couldn't take it.
So when we were talking about Mistborn, Bobby and I, he found that world's rule set, or
Uh-huh.
like the way that the magic is used in that world, was fascinating, right? With the
Because it is.
metals and
It's
stuff like
fucking
that. It
amazing.
is. And
Yes, it is.
I've grown to really like it. I thought that this world, the way that they also choose to like use their magic,
Yeah, I thought it was
was
cool.
definitely different. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I have the ability to call down dragons. It's not that simple. It's
Yeah.
like, oh no, we call down the dragons and somebody's gonna die.
Yeah, when
Well, I
you
have
find
something
out
to
what's
say
really
about
going
this.
on, it was cool.
I have something to say about this.
Okay, what, Kelsey?
Please go on.
Now would be the
So
time.
another reason why I wanted to really enjoy this book was because they it was marketed, to me at least, that this was a matriarchal society, right? They have a queen, they have all these things. However, the only woman in this book that has even a semblance of a personality is Zuri, and in the book, all she really does is like tell the readers what's up. She's like, "Oh, this is because our people don't do this," and she's just there to like further our understanding of the world, or make out with Tao. And she's like, and that's it. And I'm sorry, for a matriarchal society, where are the women? Where are they? They're only
All
these mystical wizards that are shipped far away, so they don't inconvenience the plot at all. So they're just gone, and then they only come back when they're a Deus Ex Machina type of situation where they need to call down the one dragon one time, and then they die. So that's my biggest complaint, and that's why I saved it for now.
Okay. You said that very huffily, Kelsey. The end
So,
part. Not the rest of the argument.
it doesn't. It's hard because I agree. In this book, there's not a lot of the matriarchal society
Yeah,
that's being
if
shown.
you're gonna make it like, here's the thing. I've read
In the second
plenty of
book, though,
books.
it is
Listen.
it's all there.
You're not gonna win me over.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like to me, he's creating worlds, right?
Mhm.
So he's thought like, I'm gonna make this a trilogy. That complaint that you have is solved in the second book. It doesn't help this book. It doesn't.
Mhm.
But this book is basically the beginning of the story. When you start seeing in the second book, we start dealing with the government a lot more.
Yeah.
And
Almost right
so
away.
you're getting that society there. In this, we're basically 90% of this book is we're fighting in the pits.
Yeah. So I would say again, I'm gonna say why I think the book is structured this way. Obviously, this is all fucking fiction, so he could have changed it at any point to address the. But I think the purpose of this book, right, is almost solely focused on Tao, right? It's Tao 99% of the time. And when you're seeing other characters' perspectives, it is in relation to things that are going on with Tao, right? In their interactions with Tao. He very much focuses this book down after that messy, I think, first 100 pages on this guy's perspective and how he relates and reacts to the world, right? And he is a commoner who is in a military unit, right? And so that's all you're really seeing, right? Is him and the people that are in his military unit, which are all dudes, right? Which was his, like, there, you know, that these grunts that get thrown out to die first are all dudes, right? That's the kind of deal with this, right? So I think from that perspective, right, if you're choosing to tell that story, the lack of women in the story sort of makes sense because the higher ranked people are not really a part of this story, except when you brush up against the more fancy parts of society, which only happens a few times. Now, again, he could have chosen for that to be a mixed group of people in the thing. This is why I'm saying I'm not excusing it, right? But the thrust of the story that he is telling, that is why I think it is structured that way. I do agree with you. I think, like, and again, I haven't finished the second book. I haven't finished the third book, so I don't know what his whole plan is and idea is. This idea of, you know, the gifted women characters, sort of like you said, being sort of like shipped away and like are kind of like, you know, meal for the you know, our for the grist mill or whatever,
Mhm.
is a classic thing that happens when men write fantasy stories, when the women are these like ethereal beings who are, you know, whatever. All that kind of stuff is here as well. And like Justin said, stuff that happens in the second book doesn't excuse stuff that happens in the first book, but that stuff is already, the 100 pages I'm into the second book is already getting upended, right? In that book.
Good. I'm
Now,
happy to
whether or
hear.
not it doesn't change your experience, obviously,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like,
Well, it's more the way I see it is that it's like I already live in the patriarchy. So it's like
right.
you could have just written a patriarchal society and I wouldn't have thought none the wiser because I
Mhm.
live in it. So I would have been like, yeah, obviously the men are the soldiers.
Yeah.
So, but
Like-
I don't know, again, but I don't know if when the guy, I'm not a writer. I don't know how this stuff works. And
He was
if you
also a
guys know,
director, which makes a lot of sense.
oh, if you guys know, you could correct me on this. But when laying out the storyboard for this grand story that he wants to tell, and he wants to make it a matriarchal society, that like when we get into that like Tao rubbing up with against, you know, moving up in the ranks in the world,
Hmm.
like it is all there in that second book, which again doesn't excuse the fact that the first book is messy about it, but it is there. And what I liked about, you know, not to jump into the second book too much, is just that it's not just women who can call down dragons
Yeah.
that can
Mhm.
do stuff in that next book. There are some really cool women who pick up swords and stab people with them. Yeah. So like, yeah, could he have made it? Could he have made that better in the first book? Absolutely. Like there's nothing stopping them from being like, in the lower castes, women also fight. You know,
Yeah.
like he could have done
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
which would have been fine. One thing I did want to add is I really liked the people that he was with. Like,
Yeah. His
That
That was
had-
another critique I had. I didn't get to know them.
Oh, I think like the core ones like Uduak.
Oh yeah, I
and,
liked
Doc
him.
and-
I liked him.
yeah,
Themba and what's the really
Hadith.
smart guy's
Hadith?
name? Hadith. Yeah, Hadith.
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 Hadith, excuse me.
Yeah, but listen to the audiobook, Justin.
I really
Sorry.
listen to the audiobook. You get all the names
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
Incon Kelly. All right. I really liked that like core group, and I liked what's his name, the guy who's basically the guy from Game of Thrones who's in love with Daenerys, like the boss of the
Oh yeah.
the group.
Oh yeah, I liked
guy who
him
dies,
too. I
Jaid
forgot.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
Jaid.
Jayed
Yeah, I
or
liked
whatever.
him too.
Yeah. And Kellen, who's basically like a Jaime Lannister type of person in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
I thought he was better than
He's
Jamie.
definitely nicer than Jaime, but you know that whole perspective, like he's a noble, but he's kind of a good guy. You know, but he seems like he might be a shitty guy, but he's kind of good. I guess he's more almost like what's his name?
Jorah.
Yeah, no, Jorah. I'm saying is like Jayed. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Yeah. I like that little group, and I do think there's a couple moments right where there's the couple people because obviously this is a new series, it's a new writer. I don't know his like his ways or whatever, or the things he likes to do, his bag of tricks. When that one guy died, the new guy in like their like group of 5 or whatever, when they go to like the one skirmish and the noble like steps on his head and like crushes his head in,
Yeah.
or whatever, it took me completely by surprise, and I was like affected by it. Like I was pissed about it, you know. And I think speaking of what you're talking about, Kelsey, and I think this is where I think shortchanges, you know, I think in some ways, right, he probably is like, I don't know how to handle talking about allegorically talking about a woman's place in this society compared to her place in current society.
Mhm.
I can talk about my experience as a minority man in this society and allegorically tell it in here. And
Yeah.
I think he does a good job of both showing the way that
Yeah,
those
the
characters
themes definitely.
yeah, those
are, like,
characters
very
are oppressed,
prevalent.
and also the way that they themselves oppress people who are lower or different from them as well. And I think you see characters realize that stuff along the way, and I think he does a very good job of those things. And I think
Yeah,
thinking
I think
about it
he's
now-
touching. He's touching upon a sort of intersectionality within the book as well, where it's like class division,
Mhm,
which is obviously very prevalent
Mhm.
and part of like our current society as well.
yeah.
So definitely see it there.
Yeah. But I think he does such a good job of that now you're,
Mhm.
and this is one of those things, right, where I think as observant as I try to be when I bring this kind of stuff and thinking about these kind of things, or anybody, Justin, anybody, as a white dude, like I I didn't even really think about like the in this story the way the women were sort of being portrayed. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
So
I was just like, oh, this is a society where women are on top, so obviously you're not going to see women here. And I wasn't even thinking about like what you were talking about, which is why I like having these discussions because it makes me like think about the things I
Mm-hmm.
liked about it in contrast with the things that are maybe not done as well. And I think that's an interesting discussion. What were
Well,
you gonna say?
I also think that um, it also demonstrates how everybody looks at literature differently as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I think because um, I went into this like expecting a more matriarchal commentary on like our systemic racism and systemic classism and stuff like that. I think I just expected maybe too much, and then given that I didn't like Tao as well as the main character, I think I was also reading this more jadedly
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
than, and given that I had already put it down in the past before,
Yeah.
and I got to the same part and I was like,
I asked
um,
Kelsey where she DNF'd it, and she just wrote back to me, page 23.
oh,
yeah,
it was page 23.
Yeah.
really giving the book a
It was
chance.
like right after the prologue. I was like,
Yeah.
that's
Uh-huh.
enough for me.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I think it's also something with me is writing is really important to me as well, and it will sway my love of a book very heavily. And I often, this is my own like fault, and but I often avoid indie books for this reason, because I do have trouble separating like writing that is difficult for me to enjoy versus like a good story where it's like here
Mm-hmm.
I see that the concept's really interesting, the themes Evan Winter was like wanting to talk about, and like I do believe that the second, third and fourth book are probably going to be very good because they are going to fall under a more traditionally published book, right? So they're going to have a better editor, probably more people editing it as well to make it more cohesive and make it make more sense, and probably not have as many um, battle scenes to perpetuate the same idea. And I think that in the beginning, like you could really tell like, oh yeah, this is a debut novel, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad thing. I just mean for me, I often get I often appreciate books when there's a more lyrical writing style, and I think when things are more direct, I have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of trouble enjoying it
Mm-hmm.
because I take it more as a face value thing than
Right.
like something I need to think about.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Yeah, yeah.
And that might be my elitism as a
I mean, you
literary.
are elite snob, elite
Yeah,
coaster.
so I do recognize it.
You got the woke mind virus,
Yeah,
all the
I know.
things, you know.
I recognize it. I recognize my problem. I also recognize that like I it's like if there's a lot of like adjectives and soliloquies, I'm like literature. Then I'm like, ugh, head bashing.
You're like nothing has happened in 150 pages.
It's
This is
beautiful.
genius.
You don't need battles to have thoughts. That's like literally how I feel like. That's the problem. But I could see how it would make sense to me that the second book would be more developed because now we're getting more into the meat of the story. And often, like a first book is really just to introduce. And if you're not
Yeah.
exactly sure how many books you're publishing and
Mm-hmm.
how many opportunities you might have, you're not exactly sure where to put your book. So I also acknowledge that the plights of publishing
Mm-hmm.
I will say
have
something.
something to do with.
I say I will say a lot, but the beginning of the second book also not good.
Well, but
But
that makes sense to me.
I think he just struggles starting a book. And like the second
Maybe.
book, he tries to recap the first book, and the way that he does it is just like
Mm,
Yeah, it's definitely it's one of it feels very much like I cannot because this book was independently published and the second one is coming out. I can and it was like I think 3 years or something in between the books. I
yeah.
think he's like being like I don't have the faith, to like that the person reading this book just finished the first book and is now reading the second book right away.
Yeah, no, like
Maybe
you freaks.
they don't remember everything that's going on.
so. I didn't know I didn't know that this book was published years ago. So
Mhm.
when you were like, "Oh, this is like a new book," I was like, "All right, well, I'm definitely gonna like read the
I didn't
second
say it
one
was a
when it."
new book.
I didn't know that though. I
Mhm.
thought that it
Okay.
was.
Okay.
So, when I look to like mark it as, you know, I want to read on
Mhm.
Goodreads or whatever, it's like you could read this right now. I was like, yes, the fuck I will.
Yeah,
Um,
and so now I know that he I don't know if it was always intended to be uh quad a quart
and
So
she said
it's
there's gonna
not
be
a
4 now.
is
yeah.
4? I thought this was 3.
Oh, okay.
There's The Lord of Demons, which is coming out this year.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's book 4 Untitled.
Okay.
Ooh, interesting.
Mhm.
I wonder if it'll be
So
like a River of Silver thing where it's not directly
mhm. I think it is a book.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, 3
Um
comes out in like soon.
No,
Very
no,
soon
that
though.
was I looked into
No.
that. Some
It would
places
have a
have it as
cover.
listed as like March 29th, 2024, but that's not the real date.
No, it
Oh,
would
okay.
have a cover if it was
It
actually
doesn't even
coming
have a
out this
cover image
month.
then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
That's
would have
fine.
announced it.
It gives me more time.
Yeah.
And something I also want to say is that just because I gave this book 2 stars doesn't necessarily also mean like I feel like I'm sounding very elitist, so I just want to like clarify something.
Kelsey, elitist about books.
Yeah.
Is that
I am now, after reading this and loving it so much and how much you didn't like it, I am like psyched to read Dune now because
no, Bobby, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you tell me that Dune has good writing. Not that the plot's not good. We obviously know that it's a good plot.
hmm
Okay, made a good movie. Made 2
Mhm.
movies.
hmm
I'm not denying that. My hatred of Dune is very similar to my dislike here, where I mean, I don't even know I don't even know what to say. The writing is horrible.
We'll talk about it another time. I haven't read it yet, so
We
I
need
have
to
no
have a
opinion.
Dune special.
I have no.
I'm
We'll
sorry.
do a Dune special.
I'll
Yeah.
reread it.
I'll dress like the Bene Gesserit mother. We'll do-
Jessica?
Yeah, Jessica. Yeah.
Bobby, I'm sorry, but just the fact that this man named this woman in a mythical fucking world Jessica
Yeah, but it's
No,
our.
that's not
it's-
even the-
It's
And his
our
son-
future, though.
Paul.
It's our future, though.
Yeah, but the other guy's name
Guys-
is Duncan, Idaho.
Yeah,
Hey,
Idaho.
but that's exactly what I'm
the
saying.
greatest
Any
name in the history of literature.
Greatest
Kelsey.
name in history.
Duncan, Idaho.
Any names that he could have picked for his hero, he picked Paul.
Paul.
Guys, come on, be
Fantastic.
serious.
I
And
mean,
Jessica.
when you look at Timothy Chalamet, do you see anybody else but a Paul?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say I don't even believe that Timothy Chalamet could be named Paul.
Yeah, like his name is Timothy.
Yeah, Timothy. Yeah, he's got the
Timothy
little thing over-
Chalamet.
little thing over his the e's.
Oh, my bad.
It's called an accent aigu.
Okay, I can't say that, but what Kelsey said.
When he speaks French, I'm like, oh yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we can talk about Timothy Chalamet when we talk about Dune. I could talk a lot about Timothy.
I feel like we need to do a special about it because I remember it vividly. I know every thought that I had.
Well, when I get to reading it finally, it was sometime this year. I'll read it. It's not gonna happen.
We
You
both, Bobby
please-
and I both bought box sets in
No,
like a week.
guys, I want to.
No, not of Dune.
Messiah with you.
Well,
I'm
I have not.
joking.
I
He
did
doesn't
not
have
buy
Dune.
the Dune books.
You did
I
not buy
bought.
the Dune books.
I bought 4,
Oh.
5, 6, 7 of Mistborn sight
Oh, good.
unseen.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I don't
This
even
way,
know
we're-
how.
we're-
I don't
we're
even know how we
halfway
get
through-
there.
We're halfway through the first book, and he's like, I don't know. I don't want to have 7 books on my shelf from this series. I can't do that.
It's not just 7 books, FYI.
Kelsey, we can't get into this right now. We're talking about the Rage of Dragons.
No, but there's 3 Mistborn
Kelsey's
series.
done.
That's what you
Kelsey's
misunderstood.
done
I'm
talking
done
about
talking
Rage of
about
Dragons.
Rage of Dragons.
Bobby, let's just you
Like,
and I
go
talk about how
on.
great
Yeah,
this book
go
was.
on if you guys have other things
Yeah.
to say.
Would
I
he
guess.
grab both swords? I stood up and fucking cheered.
Boy
Well, no,
stuff.
here's the thing. And again, like Justin said, it's a very plot forward book.
That's why I loved it so much.
and that's why you
I-
loved it so much.
Yeah, and I do think that's why I hated it. I was like, where are the characters? Where are the
Um,
relationships? Why am I supposed to care about these people?
Because you don't understand the bond of men at
Yeah.
war.
Oh,
Your
God,
brothers in
shut the
arms.
fuck up.
If you protect the man to your right, he will protect you.
The stuff I like, I would say the stuff beyond just like the plot stuff that I did like. I mentioned we talked about the problems with the magic system, but what Justin was saying is I do enjoy this idea that it's sort of like a push pull. Like it's not a free use, type of magic system.
There's
right?
consequence to using it.
Consequences to it, and I like this idea of like when there are sort of like in the Upside Down or whatever, and they're
We always call the different universes the Upside Down.
yeah.
We did that for Ordinary Monsters too.
Ishogo or whatever it's called. I thought like I thought the concept of that and like the shroud and the shroud going away and the more they fight or whatever, and I do think he does a good job of being like, and it's classic. It's not that it's complicated and it's not that it's advanced, but there is something satisfying about the simple setup of we're going to show you like 3 times how this thing is either like the most impossible thing to do or it's the worst possible thing that can happen to you. And then when you see your main character able to overcome it, it is effective for me. Like in this book, like when he fights that enraged Inuyama or whatever at the end, it was effective for me because even I'm like I don't know what's gonna happen. He could get his arms snapped off and whatever. Like I don't like anything could happen here, and
that was also another good character perspective swap.
It is a good yeah it is. But also there's like the thing where like not just his personal like stake, but I don't know what's gonna happen to the queen or whatever's going on in that other room. So there's lots of tension going on at once, and I think the tension is orchestrated very well in those moments. And so I was really into that part of it, and I also I generally think like he makes the noble people really despicable, and I really wanted Tao to
I do
slice
appreciate
that guy's head
that.
off.
Yeah, I did appreciate that. Like you really do hate them.
Yeah.
And is that because like we're all like not the bourgeoisie?
Right.
So maybe
you
that's
are,
why. Thank you.
Obviously.
But maybe that's why we like sort of understand. Like I was definitely like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Eat the rich.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
go. Like,
But I like how the book subtly turns towards that, though, because it's a revenge story through and through from 100 pages on. And then by the end of the book, it's like, oh, no, we're doing class warfare here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Like, we are going to eat. The 99% are going to eat the 1% here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, like, our character is the person leading the movement. Not regrettably at first, but like what's the word I'm looking for, where he doesn't really want it. Reluctantly.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't give a shit about this stuff. And the end of the book, he's like, no, fuck these people. I'm going to stab them between the eyes.
Exactly. And
yeah, you're right. You're right. That was good.
Yeah. And I do like there's those moments right where like his boys and like the Jayed 5 or whatever they are. At one point, I think it might have been Hadith because he's the one who talks the most of all of them. He's kind of like, do you think you're the only one here who like has had bad shit happen to them?
Oh yeah, I also like that. I was like, tell him.
Yeah.
Put him in his fucking place.
Yeah.
Like his mom died, his brother died, everyone. Like it's not just you. Like get over yourself.
And that was good. That was a good like where the main character has to like eat a
some crow. On that one.
Yeah, some
for sure.
humble pie or whatever.
Yeah. And there's that moment right where like they're in like they're in that like skirmish and the gifted throws them into the hell dimension. She keeps them in there too long, and like Tao saves that one guy. He like rushes at the demon and like knocks him off the thing and fights him or whatever. And that guy comes on. He's like, he saved me. Like like this, and it was like you're so in Tao's head all the time where he's so singularly focused that when you see other people reacting to him in that way, I thought it was effective. Right? That like no, what he's been doing has like other consequences and other uses other than just this single-minded reasoning that he's kind of thrown himself into.
I mean, we talked about Troy before, but there's a scene in this book where it's just like, let's just skip all the bloodshed. Your best versus my best, which is literally seen in Troy, where Brad Pitt runs up and stabs that guy in the neck in one move and it's over. And the exact same thing happens in this book. And you're like, sweet, on to the next rounds.
Yeah. And so much so that there's these, the way they build up the opposing, like, because what I do like too is that this book isn't about, for the most part, except for the very beginning and the very end, is not about the chosen, as they call themselves, versus the Zedeni. It's about the chosen versus the chosen, right? It's about their own internal sort of struggle. So you have a clear enemy, even though it's not technically the enemy that you are expecting it to be. It's not their enemy technically. It's all part of their same group. But the point that you get the tension so baked in that there's a moment near the end where the coup is happening, right? And I thought the way they brought about the coup and the twist that there was a coup happening, I liked it. I thought I didn't see it coming. like the tensions are so high that there's this moment where they're all kind of, it's kind of the group of the Ehashi, like the five, and they've got like one or two nobles, including Kellen with them, who's been sort of their adversary the whole time. And they like knock on the door and they're like, who's there? And Hadith is like, I'm Hadashi Hadith. I'm here with my best friend, Kellen Okar. And I was like, this is pretty funny. Like this guy's like, you know, I like that stuff. And in the second book, I think it's the second book, there's a moment where it's like 15 guys versus like two of them or whatever, or three of them. And the one guy looks at town. And he's like,
they continue to battle.
Well, there's a whole. Well, you go in right from the start of the coup. Like the coup's happening.
Okay, it starts like right after.
It's like a
literally.
It's like almost immediate. It's
Okay.
like
the next day, maybe at most.
And the first maybe first or second subchapter, Kelsey, real up close dragon.
Real up close what?
Dragon. He goes and sees
That's
the dragon.
what I wanted.
He goes and sees that dragon they have captured.
And he like, does he like look it in the eyes?
He does. He absolutely does.
That's
and
what I wanted here.
Yeah, and the people.
There's so many books with dragons though that you can read.
Justin, this book has it in the title and on the cover.
I mean, there are dragons in the book. They're not wrong about that.
They're not. There are. They do some damage. There's a lot of dragon at the end. There's a bunch of dragon at the end of at the end of the book.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know.
Cook Zuri with.
Yeah. Speaking of our one woman,
I didn't see Zuri dying coming at all. I really didn't think. I didn't.
That's
think
all
he
he
would go
cared
that far.
about. He only cared about her. Of course, she was gonna
I
die.
did very much care about her.
It's not an instant death sentence.
Of course, it's a first book. Of course, she was gonna die. It's the
He
first
does
book in a
have
fantasy
two mentors
series.
die in this book as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. But so that's the. I mean, it's not a book that like, for instance, before I read this, in between our last book club, Justin and I both read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Right?
We did. That's right. Fuck, I don't even remember what I've read since the last time we've done this.
That is a book, right, which I will think about for many years, right? And I think like emotionally effective, like all that kind of stuff. It will stay with me much longer, right, than this book definitely will. But what this book was really good for, much like watching a good action television show or something like that, is like when I'm reading it, I was like in it. Like I was like, I was
very happy.
I was excited by it. I was like, I thought he wrote action. There is a lot of action, but I thought he wrote the action very, very well.
Yeah.
I think that he does a good job with like choreographing the fights, the geography of the fights, all of that stuff. You know, honestly, my only really main complaints about the book are the stuff I talked about, and the fact that like, listen, dude, when you start your book, you can't have characters that have 3 names. They can't have 3 interchangeable titles or names that you call them by, because I don't even know what the main name is yet. You cannot give me 3 other names, right? You know, in the first 30 pages of your book for this one person. I don't know who you're talking about. You know,
this is why I struggled with the beginning of this book so much. I'm like, even for a fantasy book, I feel especially lost.
Yeah, totally. So, and I think like there is stuff like you said, Kelsey, like you have an editor, like a better editor, someone who is better at looking at the book as a whole and doing it. Like that first battle that he has where he like in that town, like it doesn't really serve any purpose.
Like that's what I mean. And I think that that's something else that I'm thinking about, where it's like, I feel like that battle took a really long time that I thought it would be more important.
Yeah.
And then when it wasn't important, Justin.
They did get the whole point of that battle is to say that they stole the gift.
Yes, but that could have been like,
okay, but they could have done that in the other 15 other battles.
I get that.
Well, that's the only battle with the Zedeni that happens in the book until the end. But I will say this: that could have been like in the town square. Did you hear that there was a big battle in the town and they took a gifted? Like that, if that's all you needed, really, you know what I mean? Because it's not like Tao learns anything from that battle to help him in the future. He doesn't. He brings it up a couple times. We're like, oh, you fought somebody before, you know? And there's a big deal where he kills that one person, and it's like a big thing for him. But like, you could have done that with the first time you had to kill somebody in one of the other matches or whatever, you know. So I feel like that's what I mean by I don't think it. But Kelsey, you were going on it and you were making a point and you got cut
Yeah,
off.
well, now I don't remember. Oh, what I was gonna say was that I feel like because that battle took so long and then nothing resulted of it, I feel like I didn't take every other battle seriously after because I was like, oh, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like nothing really matters that they're in another battle again.
I think every other battle after that
It's great.
and I think it is building up either some aspect of Tao's mental character or his physical character, which are in this book equally. The writer puts equal importance on both of them, right? That's whether or not that's interests you or not. That's sort of like the thrust of the book is how Tao mentally prepares for his goal and also physically prepares for his goal. And I think after that first battle, I think that is what each sort of like encounter does in some way. Now, could you have combined some of them? Could you have done like, yes, absolutely. You know, but for instance, like the one where he kills the noble, like that, right? Almost immediately, like shows you that, okay, this is no longer going to be a thing where he struggles against one of these guys. You know, it takes him all his strength to do it. So you're like, okay, when he faces Kellen, this is going to be something. And then when he faces Kellen, it's harder, right? He still beats him, but it's more difficult. So you get he does a good job of setting the power levels of the different people in ways, I think, well done ways. And I have a question for you, Kelsey, because you liked the prologue. So this question will go towards your liking. At the end of the prologue, the queen's like, I'm using the fucking dragon. We're staying here. Like, and all of you people who disagree with me, I'm going to make your life a living hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think this is that too, I surmised after in the book that the people that were like the people who like sort of went against her were the people that kind of like got demoted down to like be these more like the common people.
Oh, I didn't even think that far.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think that either.
I didn't think that far either. Yeah. I think I was just like I was enthralled by the opening chapter because first of all there was this beautiful romance.
There was a romance, yeah.
Like I was captivated by this prologue. Like I swear to God, I wish it was like somehow related. Like we had the dragon, we had a boss bitch, we had her golden retriever soldier would do anything for her boyfriend. Like. I'm sorry. I wish the whole book was that. That's what I wish.
Read the second book.
You should read the second book.
You should read the second book then.
Is Tao the golden retriever boyfriend of the queen at the end of this book? Though.
Yes. Yeah. You wanted it to mean something and be related. That's the meaning and relation.
Should I read it? I don't know.
It's up to you. We're not going to force you, but I think a lot of your issues, I think, give it like 30, 40 pages, Kelsey, which will take you 2 minutes. And you get past the like redescription of the plot that he gives.
No, I'm gonna need it.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But I'm saying, but get past that. Don't count that in the amount of pages. And then after that, see how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the same guy that narrates.
Oh yeah, it's the same guy. It's great.
Oh my God, the paperback's only $14.
or you just get it on Libby.
No, I like. What don't you understand by this mess?
I'm telling you,
that
Kel,
I like
you're eventually gonna run out. You're gonna run out of room eventually.
This whole entire room she's in is just for books, Justin.
This is the purpose of this room.
They can stack all the way.
When I have a child, I'm getting another condo.
Just for the books.
No, just to have an extra room. No, yeah,
like,
that's what you don't get.
The child is sleeping in the room with us. I now have 2 rooms for books.
Yeah. Like the other day, I was like, "What would you say if I put like a mini library in the living room?"
Can you at least start your shelves in that room?
Yeah.
I think it's like at this point, it's so messy in here. Like,
first I have to clean it. That's how you fix a mess. Is you clean it, Kelsey.
I have to first of all get rid of my little unhaul pile that I have there.
And I have an unhaul pile too. I'm gonna bring it to one of the little like library things or whatever.
And I'm down to like support. This will probably go in there, to be honest.
I have to get rid of some of the
You're gonna buy the second book, Kelsey. You can't get rid of the first book.
It's because I'm still not sure.
Well, you
my God.
You gotta make that choice and make that call.
Can we talk about one thing though?
What?
Go ahead, King.
when I went to London, which I was in the past weekend,
Mm-hmm.
they have such better looking books than we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Um,
disgusting.
Sometimes,
Most of the books that I saw that I recognized, I was like,
fantasy
Jesus
books are 10 times
Christ.
better there.
The Mistborn books, I was like, geez, these are way better covers. And first of all, the first Mistborn book covers are a staple of
I
what
have
looks like
them. Like I have
1989.
the white ones there with the blue drawings.
The white one with the blue,
Yeah, I have
those are
those are my
really nice.
editions.
Um,
Sometimes
a bunch of the
Canada
books that
has
I've read this year, I saw and I was like, this is a way better cover. And so I will show you. Bobby, we were talking about this. Bobby's like, take a look at these Stephen King books. So I found a bunch of them and I bought them.
So I've
Yeah,
been looking at those Stephen King books for a while. I was like, oh, there's this like, what
To
are
be
they?
fair.
Houghton, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
These two are Bobby's.
Those two are mine.
And these
Um,
4 are mine.
yeah, they are really cool. Sometimes Canada has we have like a mix. So it really depends like which publisher works with the Canadian publishers, because sometimes we don't have books that release in hardcover, thank God. But sometimes we do.
Mhm.
And sometimes we have the UK cover and sometimes we have the American cover. Because we're still a land of the queen, or the king rather. So
Yeah, not for that much.
sometimes we benefit.
Yeah, we benefit from that. You get nice book covers.
Sometimes we have nice book covers, or they release it in paperback.
I bought those at the airport.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Ooh,
That was
those
a
are nice
bookstore in that-
airport.
that was
Yeah.
a nice book. You showed me a picture of it. Like, it's a nice bookstore at that airport. Jeez.
Yeah, it was a nice bookstore.
Yeah.
I went to this comic book store and they had like a
What was the comic book store?
Forbidden Planet, I think.
Forbidden Planet. Yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
was
the big
really nice.
UK.
It was really nice. I went into the basement and they had just basically a full bookstore down there.
Mhm.
And so I was just combing over and being like, this is a better cover, and this is a better cover, and this is a better cover. Like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue had a different cover.
Mhm.
I loved The Ferryman last year. That had a way better cover. But I did pick up, I didn't buy them, but they had signed copies of Sanderson's Star something series.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but they had like books 2 and 3. I was like, I need book 1. Yeah.
Sorry. So you bring back gifts for Bobby,
Yeah, I live 7 minutes
and
away
you didn't
from him.
think twice. Fine,
Well, I
it's
don't
fine.
know. The last time you visited New York,
fine.
you didn't tell us
The
you were
two-
here.
the 2 times.
Yeah.
First of all, the last time actually that I did visit New York, I did tell you.
You made sure to tell us you were coming, and there's no way possible we were ever going to see you.
Yeah, at least I was honest that time. I said I'm busy. Oh my god, the other day I was gonna send you guys a plan of like a bachelor party that I have, just so that I could show Justin how intense they
Mm.
are and how busy I was that weekend.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Uh,
Rage of
anyways.
Dragons, 4.5 stars.
4.5
2.
stars.
Great.
No, guys, listen. As much as I hated this, I'm so happy you guys enjoyed it, because I was so worried that we were all gonna hate it. I'm not joking. I really was worried.
I was more worried about the other option, which was after I knew Justin liked it, both of us hating it and Justin liking it.
I know.
I was worried about that being a thing that was going to happen.
I would fight for it.
I know, but
I feel like
I
you're
don't
always
mind.
fighting us.
yeah, and I feel like you're always fighting us. So that's why I was like, I don't want this to be another episode where Justin's fighting us.
No, I'm happy to be on the opposite side.
You're the Justin today, Kelsey.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. Plot good. Themes bad.
Good.
I'm also happy to hear that a lot of the issues that I had. Oh my god, is Evan Winters first? Whoa, is Evan Winter Canadian?
I don't know.
I thought you were going to say, is Evan Winters hot? That's what I was first thinking you were going to go with.
He's a Canadian author of the epic fantasy. His first novel, Dragons, originally he's
Wow, Kelsey hating her home.
Oh
her
my,
hometown.
hold on, things are different now, because I was on the Indigo website, and like when it's a Canadian author, they like put their little like Canadian stamp of approval, like with the
so
little
he must
maple leaf.
live in Canada. Again, I'm looking at Wikipedia. So it says that he must live in Canada because it says Winter was born in England
Yeah.
and raised in Zambia.
What a sick life.
Yeah, a fucking life.
But
man.
they say he's a Canadian author though.
yeah, it
So
does
he
say
must
that.
have immigrated here and then probably grew up for a really long time here.
Yeah.
I wonder where. Yeah, and he was also Rage of Dragons was shortlisted for CBC's Canada Reads, which you
Huh.
guys wouldn't know, but is a big thing here.
Okay. All right.
Honestly, when I was really when you came out and were like, I don't want to finish reading this book, and
I guys, I was really disappointed.
I didn't like the first 50 pages. I went and I looked and I'm like, this book is almost universally
know.
beloved. And I was like, I don't understand.
Guys,
And
I
then I
don't want to be
understood.
a hater again. Okay,
I know, but
like
it's
I'm
what you're
always the
really good at.
hater.
These books are universally beloved. Straight fucking garbage. Let me tell you why everybody else in the world is wrong.
It was cool though, right? To see, like, I haven't read any Afro fantasy, so it was really cool to see, the world based on something that wasn't like medieval
Mhm.
England.
That's also why I picked
that
it
was
as well,
neat.
because I really wanted to support this author, and I really wanted to read something that was different from like medieval
Mhm.
fantasy that is obviously overrun
Yeah.
the fantasy genre, whether it's movies, books, or TV shows that we watch. So that was another reason I wanted to read this. I also really love two other authors that write primarily like Afro sci-fi. So Nnedi Okorafor and N.K. Jemisin are two authors that I would highly recommend if you're interested in African-inspired fantasies or sci-fis. I love both of those authors very, very much.
Did N.K. Jemisin write The City?
We became.
Yes.
Yes.
I heard that name.
Yeah.
But her better series is the
Fifth
Broken
season?
Earth trilogy, which starts with the 5th season.
Okay. Yeah.
I love that series. I studied it in school as well, as part of my English, just part of my English degree.
Okay.
And it,
I have a useless degree too, Kelsey. Don't worry about it. All right.
I
Don't be
have
so proud.
two useless degrees, so I just didn't want to leave school.
Yeah, me too. Me too. To be honest. So.
But yeah, I really like N.K. Jemisin. But
Mhm.
Nnedi Okorafor is also very good. So I would highly recommend both of
Cool.
them.
Justin, do you want to tell the folks what we're doing next time?
I'm so nervous.
Why are you nervous?
Yeah, I don't know why you're nervous
Oh,
because
'cause
you
it's
pretty
scary?
much.
Is it nestlings?
It is nestlings.
Yeah.
Woo! Yay! I could buy it. Can you tell us what it's about? It's by Nat
haven't-
Cassidy.
Hang on, let me pull up a
I
synopsis.
got it right here.
Bobby, why don't you read the synopsis because you have it right in front of you?
Okay.
I haven't picked it up yet.
Mark says in the chat also has a useless degree. So just so we
Support.
know. Support the useless degrees. Anna and Reed needed a lucky break. The horrifically complicated birth of their first child has left Anna paralyzed, bitter, and struggling with mobility, with her relationship with Reed and with resentment for her baby. That's about to change with the words any New Yorker would love to hear: affordable housing lottery. They've won an apartment in the
I need to
Deptford-
interrupt.
Yes.
What is that? Does that happen in New York?
I don't know if I don't know when this takes place, but
Oh, okay, sorry,
I
go
don't know
ahead.
if it still happens or not, but so yeah, it's like, it's what it sounds like. People put their names in, and if you get picked, you get to get a apartment that or a house that should cost more, but
Like a brickstone.
Yeah, exactly. But
Okay.
you get it for less.
We call it
Okay.
brownstone.
Yeah, a brownstone here, but yes.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, you could have said
You could have just rolled with that, and I
we
would have
would've-
never
we would've
known the
believed
difference.
it. They won an apartment in the Deptford, one of Manhattan's most revered buildings, with beautiful vistas of Central Park and stunning architecture. Reed dismisses disturbing events and Anna's deep unease and paranoia as the price of living in New York. People are odd, but he can't explain the needle-like bite marks on the baby.
Vampire Resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it. My favorite book of
Look at
last.
that guy. That's scary.
I know
guy on
it's
the
really
cover.
creepy. One of my favorite books. Hold on, I have to get my piles. My favorite book of last year. Jesus Christ.
It's only 290 pages too.
That's a
Was
shorty.
this book? And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott, also a Canadian writer, Indigenous as well. And this was about the trials and tribulations about being a mother with horror elements.
Mm.
So
Can I tell you a book that disappointed me?
okay, that's not what we were talking about, but it's fine. You can go on.
But it was a horror book. That's why it's kind of what we were talking about.
What is it?
Oh, do you have more books to show off?
No, I don't. Go
You
on.
sure?
She always has more books to show off.
Well, I mean, it's Kelsey.
No, I just had to move them out of the way to get the other book.
Oh, so I just finished Hidden Pictures by Jason
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Pollock?
Relic.
Pollock?
No, it begins with an R, definitely.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Jason Recollect.
Recollect.
Oh, yes, okay.
I read that on the plane back from the UK, and I didn't love it. It's all right.
Yeah, I've also heard
Wasn't-
mediocre things about it.
It wasn't as scary as I was hoping.
But tomorrow,
That's a good book.
that's a good book.
Mhm.
It made me very sad at some
Yes,
points.
it made me very sad.
It made
was
me
a point
bawl
of it.
my eyes out.
Yeah.
There was a point of it where I was just like, "Fucking, I hate this."
But just like he goes, I don't understand why this sad thing had to happen.
It didn't have to happen. The
No,
book
it
was
didn't.
great without
No,
it.
it didn't. It's just to make you sad.
That's the thing.
And that's a valid critique, Justin, honestly.
The book was absolutely fantastic, and that like terrible thing that happens in that book doesn't need to happen.
But, Justin, very realistic because it happened
Mhm.
to my coworkers. So, it is a very real thing that happens.
I
in the video
know,
game
I
industry.
know, but it's just
But that
I-
chapter is so good.
so
that,
fucking. Oh god,
Oh
It-
my
like
god,
that
the way
book,
it's
that-
written is so good.
Mhm.
I've encouraged a friend to read that, and they're reading it, and I'm just like, I told them before that happened, and then I read it, and I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
"Fuck, this is gonna go so bad when
I
I get
hate
there."
I hate when that happens when I recommend something and then I get to a part and I'm like,
Yeesh.
oopsies.
My bad. Sorry about this trauma I'm about to lay on you.
Justin and I have had arguments about this very thing in stories. Was Emily is Away 3? Was that
Yeah.
the one? Was that the
Yeah.
one? The
Yeah.
game.
Oh, the game? Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like resistant to it, and I was like, why? And he's like, because he's like, it ends sadly, and I'm
No,
like,
he's so no.
it's exactly what you said.
Yes, but the point of the point of those games is it gives you the illusion of choice where you could choose.
So does life, Justin.
So it is life.
Deep. Anyway, so that was I thought very similar when we were talking about the thing that happened in Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
I don't like sad things, okay?
It's very different. I'm like,
I love it. The
Sad thing.
more
Fuck me up. Fuck
If
me
the
up.
book makes me cry, 5
Yeah.
stars.
Yeah.
If you could make this cold, disheveled heart
Yeah.
cry, I'm
all,
like, ooh,
all that matters
that
to me
takes
is
skill.
Yeah.
is there a sword in each hand? 'Cause then
I
I'm
can't wait to
way
get
in.
back to themes.
I'm wondering how many themes will. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some themes in this book because it's a horror book.
Well, postpartum.
but
Depression is probably the major one.
exactly. Mark says, "I seek the sad. Please emotionally destroy me." That's
Yeah,
exactly
literally.
Right. That's exactly right.
The other
There-
day, you know how often I watch TikToks
A
about
lot,
like
probably.
Grey's Anatomy and it's like a sad scene and I'm like,
You just
crying
started that
in
with
bed.
saying, "Do you know how often I watch TikToks?" And I was just going to guess most of your day.
Rude.
But is it wrong?
It's a little wrong. I watch them in the morning and at night.
Mhm.
But in the day I watch YouTube videos.
Okay. So there you go.
Oh well, there you go.
While
There
I'm
you go.
working, I'm like
There you go.
that's what I listen to instead, unless I have to read a book. So next month, Nestlings.
Nestlings. And after that, it's my pick again. I think.
After that, yeah. For Nestlings though, because we did Rage of Dragons live show a bit later in the month, are we okay to do it like halfway through April? Like
yeah,
maybe
this is
around.
it's short book. It's like 200 some pages. So
As long as it's after the 13th, that's fine.
That's what I was gonna say. Like probably like around the 15th,
Perfectly fine. Because
Yeah,
I'll
like the week
I'm,
of the 15th.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So we'll do it
Absolutely.
then.
I have a feeling this is going to go by very fast. this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, I'm very excited to read it, but
Yeah, me
also
too.
I'm trying to shove in a couple more books before March ends. So if I could just start next month with Nestlings, it'll be a lot
I saw
easier.
your
By the
little
way,
s-
this is one of the books
I
I'm
saw your
reading.
little slasher
Ooh.
thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
Ever
had better
since I, like,
covers
been-
too. All the Grady Hendrix books had better covers.
There can't be a better cover than that Exorcism book. That
no, yeah, our
No,
Exorcism book is so much better.
I you know what? I didn't see that. It was like How to Sell a Haunted House.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
that cover is
Um,
the best.
Although,
And also their We Sell the Souls cover sucks because we have it here in Canada and I hate it so much.
but I will. House on Needless Street, which is a horror book.
I had
My
that
friend
somewhere.
Lanny was just like, when I was in Florida, went to Barnes and Noble to find it because you guys have the better cover.
Yeah, we do. We do sometimes have the better covers. It's just not all the time.
I think the cover to that book, what's it called? How to Solve Your Own Murder or whatever it's called. I
Yeah.
love the cover to that book.
Yeah, that's good.
Is it the
That's
one
a
where
good cover.
the it's like a silhouette?
No, it's a house, isn't
It's a
it?
house.
How to solve your own murder?
I think it's what it's
Yeah,
called.
that comes out this month or last month.
Yeah, I think so. Come on, Kelsey, get your shit together.
You guys are really a
I
different
walk
level than
around
me.
I walk around Barnes and Noble now,
Don't just
and
scream at me.
I'm sorry. I walk around. I've had a few drinks tonight. I walk around Barnes and Noble now, and I'm like, I'm not even surprised. I know all these books.
Yeah, that's me. You know, once I made a video, I was like, "Oh, let me pick like random books to read
There
and
are
see
no random.
if I see if I like them." No, I did. I went to the thriller because I don't really read thriller that often. I read horror mostly. And I picked up 3 books and I hated all 3 of them. So that was a
I'm
fun.
sure they were all fantastic.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
they
sure-
weren't. They actually weren't. Is this the cover that you're talking about?
Are you gonna share your screen?
Yes. Give me. Hold on.
Yes.
Yes,
Like the
Is this
cover a
your
lot.
cover?
this is our cover. Yeah.
It's our
Okay,
cover.
yeah. That's
I like
why.
it.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense.
Like that cover.
Damn, $37.99.
Okay,
Oh,
guys,
you're
I
in
told
Canada.
you it's expensive.
$40 for the paperback?
Yeah, but it's not the real paperback.
Oh, okay.
It's like audio large print. Like,
I can buy that book on Amazon right now
yeah, but
for $25.
okay, let's go see 25 USD to CAD is 33.67. It's almost the same price.
Oh, okay.
It's just
get,
that
get your currency together, Kelsey. What's going on?
Yeah.
you know what I learned today? That it's based off of gold. Why?
Yeah, didn't
Why
you-
are we still doing this?
'cause that's just the way the world works. It's just the way
I
it
know, I
works.
don't like it. And also like I love my favorite thing to do is to be like when people like actually understand money and stuff, I'm like, I don't understand why we can't just print more. It's my favorite thing to do. I love doing that and
Well,
saying those
Kelsey,
I do
things.
love
you
that.
aren't really wrong because money is fake.
It's not real.
all
Like
fake.
it's just an appearance in my little account.
Yeah, and
Like-
gold, even gold, is just a thing that people decided was worth something. It's
Yeah.
there's
You know,
no there's
you-
no meaning behind it.
Time is also an invention.
Yeah.
All right, kick Justin out of this chat.
Yeah, I think I can. Every time we're mad at him, we just
Do you know I picked nestlings because I knew that you'd be interested in
I know,
reading it.
and I was very happy that you chose it, and I'm very grateful for you.
I will tell you what I said to him. He was like, I want to pick something because I know Kelsey. I was like, don't worry about fucking Kelsey. Just pick the book you want to read. She didn't ask us before she picked the 700-page book that she asked us to read.
You guys enjoyed it?
Yes,
Yeah,
but-
I
but
know.
I'm just saying.
See, but I give you guys, I like when it's my turn, I usually give you guys a choice of like,
I know.
these
I'm
are 4
so
books.
grateful for it.
I'm-
Thank
these
you.
are 4 books that
I
I'm
did the same thing.
picking.
I went through like 50 books before Kelsey approved of one of the books I picked.
Jesus
because she
Christ,
already
we should
owned
just
it.
hijack this class.
I'm-
Professor
first of all,
Justin and
I'm the
Bobby.
teacher, and I choose the curriculum.
This is
Thank
mutiny.
you. Fine. Next time it's my turn, I'll give you guys a choice,
Thank
Yeah.
fucking God.
Yeah.
but it will be all books that I own.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
We have
What
to
do you-
get through these.
I gotta do the same thing. Anyway.
I had to explain what romantasy was this week to people. I was like, have you guys heard of
We should really
Just
read
Valentine's
Romantasy.
Day?
We should read a Romantasy together.
I was trying to get Angela to read that smutty Avengers book because she loves reading smutty books.
No,
and I was
Justin,
just
it was so bad. Don't make her do that.
like-
It was-
Angela reads these books where it's just like they're
No,
she,
it was
she has to
really
pay
bad.
she has to pay per chapter. I'm like, I'll just buy you books to read. It's like this online thing, and she needs tokens to read the next chapters and stuff. I'm like,
Oh my
I'm
God, that's
buying
very
you books.
intriguing.
Because it's
I'm
like,
good.
maybe I can waste my money on this. It won't fill. It won't fill up either my digital or my
She-
physical collection. So
she's like, she does this thing where she has to read them, and she's like, well, like this one's on a timer until tomorrow, so I start another one. I'm like,
A challenge?
You're Dora. You're like you're playing these games where it's like I need gold to continue.
no, it's one of those. It's like a free to play game, Kelsey, where they're like, oh, you've already read for already read 10 pages, so you either have to pay us money or you can't read again until tomorrow. So you have like a
so
24-hour timer.
she starts like 5 books at a time and then reads them like 2 chapters at a time. It drives me crazy. I buy her tons of physical books because she's like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like she has the silent page. She's been reading the Midnight Library for like 6 months.
Oh, I really need to read that too.
It's a great book.
You've never read the Midnight Library?
I
We're
read
hijacking
Such a
this.
good book.
I read I read Matt Haig in publication order, and I got stuck at a book because I read The Humans first. I really liked it. This always happens. I read one book that I like, and then I'm like, well, have to buy everything they've ever published in their lives and start from the beginning. And that's what I do with everybody. I did that with Brandy.
Way of handling this stuff. Yeah. If we're gonna read a romantasy, are you gonna make us read one of those what's her name books? The most
Sarah
popular
J.
one?
Maas?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, I won't because
Thank
as
you.
I
So
mentioned, I
many.
have a respect for.
Can we just
the
find this
words on the
can we just agree not to start another series for like at least a few months?
I also didn't mean to with this one. I also don't think.
You don't what?
Think.
Oh, okay. Obviously.
So it's like I picked this book and I was really thinking about the fact that we have a lot of fantasies to start because I'm so used to it, and I just figured like, oh, if I don't think about that book ever again, I don't need to read the continuations.
Also, it's not a hard and fast rule, but we should try to make the book club look like a standard length book and not like a 600-page book.
And I also forget that people don't read 600 pages in 3 days like I do.
That's true. It's true. I can read pretty fast. I just when it's for the even though obviously I love doing this and I love reading the books and doing it, it still is like sort of like an obligation. So when the book is long, it's like
no, you're so right. No, you are
valid.
valid.
I can read anything else. It's like
I think that locks us into a certain standard of book. I wouldn't be in agreement for that rule. I think
why?
I'm not saying
what are you talking?
95% of books.
You know what? I don't know.
It locks you out from just doing basically fantasy books. It's only like long fantasy books. It all locks you out.
Yeah, fantasy. There could still be. There's still short fantasy books.
Yeah, but it really eliminates the kind of books you're talking about, Justin, which are fantasy books in a series. Is mostly what it does. You know,
or books that are meandering for no reason.
Yeah, and I'm not going to make you guys read like 11/22/63 or whatever.
Thank you, King.
Like
I have 11/22/63. I bought it.
I want
to read it.
I want to read it
Did you
too.
read it,
That
Kelsey?
is too much for
yes,
a book
I
club.
read it.
No, it's not. How many pages is it? It's right
Just-
there.
it's
11/22/63 was the first Stephen King I ever read.
It's so long.
Oh,
Justin.
well, Kelsey read it, so it's out. But now it's like
It's so long.
you know, this is not that big.
Justin.
Is that the same book that I have?
740 pages.
That type is super small.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Give me just one.
No, it's
second.
It's 740.
mine is so.
It's 740 pages. That's a thick. That's a thick
mine's
boy.
like 1,000. My version of the book is like 1,000.
It's Stephen King though. It's got to be great.
It was. I really enjoyed it. I'm not even saying anything.
So Bobby was just like, "Can you get me The Shining and Doctor Sleep?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, absolutely. I'll get
I have to
those.
read Dr.
I'll get
Sleep.
those myself." And then Bobby got the last copy of Doctor Sleep.
Did you
So I was
buy the
like,
abridged version?
Yeah. Like that's what I have too.
No, but they're small. Like these are
Yeah.
smaller, and
I
they
know.
must be like tiny print. I know it's a big thick boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
like
it's
1,000
not
pages.
1100. I guess it is
Wait, hang on.
849
Oh,
pages.
I thought it was longer than that.
Look
Yeah,
at that
it's a-
cover. Look at that cover. Cover's
Yeah,
good.
I like-
this is a good
I like
cover.
our.
That is also a
Our
good
cover
cover. That
is
is also a
better
good
if I'm
cover.
gonna be
Our
honest.
cover's better.
Yeah.
Of that one.
But the spine is better on this one.
But like this is too long for a book club. It's too
Yes,
long.
but that I agree.
It's too
I
long.
also think 600 is crazy.
600.
That was my bad,
Yeah.
and also Justin's bad
I don't-
before.
Yeah, but
think
I
sub
read it in like
500 pages. I think
I
is
read it
the
in like
way to go.
3 or 4 days. It was fine.
Congratulations, Justin.
Congratulations, dude.
But when this book club gets bigger than us, we have to stay humble.
I'm not saying it has to be 250 pages. I'm just saying like let's try to get sub 500. Like that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
under 500 I think is
Fine.
good.
Justin, that's like 99% of books.
I know. I'm fine with that.
Justin, like, no, I had a 900
I
page
want a
book I
challenge.
was planning on assigning in 2 months. And
I haven't even thought about it because every book I pick, Kelsey yells at me for. So
Yeah, because they're long.
You picked a 600 page, 50 page book.
I didn't
was like,
realize it was 600. In all honesty, I had really good intentions with Rage of Dragons. Okay.
I'm gonna find the themiest book possible for my pick next. It's not even gonna have a plot.
Yeah.
I
one
can't
of
wait
my
to
one of
talk
my
bad
friends
about it.
at work, she used to make booktube videos, and she doesn't anymore. But every time she loved a book and she would be like, "Oh, the plot in this is amazing," I knew. I knew that I wasn't gonna like it. And then every time I would read a book and I was like, "Oh, Daniela, you're not gonna love this. It has no plot."
Oh
She even
man.
warned me about Rage of Dragons. She's like, "Oh, I really liked Rage of Dragons, so you're gonna hate it." I was like, oh, "Okay."
We should put this person on the show.
Yeah, where's this person? Bring
She's
her in.
in Montreal. She's around.
Bring her in. This also made me just like I liked this book so much, The Rage of Dragons, that the people who were like, "This book is great," the quotes from the authors. I was like, "Oh, who are these authors and what books did they write?" Because I want to know. And one of them, Justin, you put on your to read list recently,
Which one was it?
the John Islington book or whatever. Right? Is his name James Islington?
What was
Oh
the
yeah,
name
I've
of the
heard
book?
really good things about it. It's
One of the, it's the dragon on the cover or whatever.
Oh yes, yes,
I
yes.
have his book,
The god,
Shadow of What Was Lost.
Shadow of the God, Shadow of the Gods, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Whatever.
Shadow
It's
of
like,
What Was Lost.
Yeah,
yeah, I want to read that.
yeah.
There's
Hence, it's on
also
my
S.A.
to-read.
Chakraborty on the back as well,
Yes.
who
Justin's
we
read
stand
all her
on this
books.
channel.
I've read.
I like her too.
You well, you do not.
Yes, I do. I read the entire City of Brass series.
But you said you didn't really like it that much.
I said I didn't like the first one,
Oh, the first one. Okay.
and it was still a 3.5 stars, which is very good. It's at 80%. So
Okay. No, 80%.
80. I'm not sure how that's
75.
on. I'm sure,
3.5 out of
not sure how
what?
that math works.
Because if it's 5,
My
you're
heart.
completely wrong.
I tried to get us to read the pirate book that she wrote, and you were like, "No."
No, the reason we said no was because you already read it, first of all, and then you said you skim read
No.
it.
No.
No.
He pitched it before he.
Oh
skim
yeah,
read it.
well, okay, well,
And I read it, and I didn't skim read it. I just don't need
Yeah,
to know what
smart
color
thinking.
all the walls are.
No, but there was that other book that Justin wanted us to read that you thought was a different book. He wanted us
Ferryman.
to read The Ferryman, and you thought
Oh,
it
yeah.
was The Wager.
I was
Which
like,
both books ended up on Goodreads like end of the year list.
yeah, I was like, there's no way I'm reading a nonfiction book about a boat. I'm sorry, like, there's no way. Yeah, that was my bad too. Sorry.
Mhm. But
The
a
other
nonfiction-
authors back here, I don't know.
I bought a nonfiction book about Alexander Edgar Allan Poe, a new one. It was like it mirrors like his life and writing with like his mysterious death or whatever.
What's the name of
I
this
would
book?
like to know what this is.
Let me. I gotta go again.
I would like to know.
How many pages is XX?
Oh my god, it's like 1,000, I think. Let me check.
Oh, whoa. I can't hear
It's
anything.
1,000 pages, Justin.
Wow,
Can you
that's
guys
a lot of
hear me?
pages. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Weird. Okay.
Do you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, that my headphones were the thing was loose. Okay.
Okay.
A Mystery of Mysteries: The Death and Life of Edgar Allan Poe.
That cover!
I know. It's like
It's a good
95%
cover.
of the reason I bought it.
Oh my god, I love that. Okay, I might buy it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's probably been.
Ooh, it's a little expensive. Oh, it just came out. Okay, that's why. Also, Justin, XX is 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
I would be down to read it, but not for this book club. But we could
Fair
read
enough.
it together if you want. But it is also mixed media. But we also read House of Leaves together.
Well,
You know, I never finished House of Leaves.
I never
It's
finished it
fine.
either.
You don't have to.
I'm going to
I
restart
still
it and
have
read
it
all
on
of
my
House
shelf,
of Leaves.
No,
but I haven't
you
finished
guys, it's fine. You don't have to read it. It's actually horrible.
I know, but when you say something's horrible,
Yeah,
it
but
usually
now
means
I'm
it's
starting
great.
to think maybe I'd like it.
Yeah.
That's guys. This is really good because it means that we're discovering each other's tastes,
Mhm.
and so you might love my auntie, my worst books of the year.
Yeah.
Kelsey,
Like-
I'm pretty sure that we would.
No, I don't think so.
The
There are things
Martian,
that-
absolute
No, The
garbage.
Martian is absolutely.
No,
garbage.
I'm not. We're not getting into that right now.
I'm
If
sure
anything-
absolutely garbage.
You know,
I'm-
All right.
that I read before the last book club that I kind of was like, this is fun, and I didn't really think about it. That is only grown up estimation is that Dark Matter book by Blake Crouch.
It's
Like,
gonna be a
How's
TV
it really
show on
good?
It's
Apple.
real good. Like I'm
Yeah.
like I want another book like this. Like that's how I've been feeling.
He,
Recursion
he writes a
by-
few. Recursion
Yeah,
is one of them.
Recursion
Yeah.
was very similar and also very good.
Mm.
He also had a new release last year that I forgot what
Mm.
it was called.
He also has his series, right? Like that Wayward Pines.
Yeah,
Pines.
Wayward Pines is on my
Yeah.
I think I'm constantly reading it because I've never taken it off, but I will eventually read it.
Mhm.
I would like to read it as well, and it's Upgrade I'm thinking of from last year. But I think it's about like, do you remember that Bradley Cooper movie where it was like his brain, like he
Yeah.
used like more than 10% of his brain?
Limitless was that?
But
That's
I don't
turned
know
into
if
a
it's
television
We call
show,
that
randomly.
Lucy.
So it's like the same story. Yeah.
I know it's the same story. With Scarlett Johansson, it's
Lucy
like
was
literally the same
Oh,
story.
yeah,
It's
I
the
saw-
same story. Basically.
yeah, I remember that. It's not exactly that, but it's like something's happening to his body.
Mm.
Like he gets like better.
Okay.
But I'm open. I would like to read more Blake Crouch. I've only read the 2 books from him, and apparently before Wayward Pines is a bad time, and then it
like
becomes
the stuff he wrote before that. You
the
mean?
stuff he wrote. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right, yeah. But I mean, I just like I've been like I was thinking about the other day. I was like, I really liked that book, and like I was
It was
like
a good
the ideas in it and stuff have like stuck with me. And yeah, there is an Apple TV series coming out soon, based on it. So
I will not be watching it because I don't watch TV. But happy for everybody
fair enough.
who will be watching it. I will be reading because I'm better.
Elitism. Never.
Do we have any final thoughts before we go?
If Kelsey hates it, it's usually good.
Yeah.
I completely disagree. I think if I hate it, it's because it's generic.
If you like fantasy books, you should read this book. That's what I.
If
that's
you
what
like
I-
Gladiator, you should read this book. If
I
you like dudes
I
with 2
agree.
swords in their hands, you should read this
yeah,
book.
yeah.
I agree with you guys.
Dude that fights demons with 2
With
swords.
2 swords. Fucking rad.
You guys
Come
sound
on.
like 12-year-old boys.
Exactly.
If you like guys with 2 swords.
You just read a book that was about.
The Avengers fucking each other.
Yeah. Okay. So you shut your mouth.
But that was not. I didn't rate it highly, first of all.
You didn't, but you've rated other books probably most likely like it very highly. Okay.
I'm gonna let Angela read that book and bring her on.
Bye.
It's rude.
She got rid of both of us that time, Justin.
I know, I saw.
I'm having a lot of fun with this power. Okay.
All
I'm
right.
tired.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
I
go.
will end this. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Kelsey.
And thank you, everyone, for watching. Bye. 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 I don't think it ended.